Congratulations on the film. I have to just say how wonderful it is, how much I enjoyed it, and I've seen it twice. It was brilliant, and now that I've actually read the books, I can see how spot on the adaptation was as well. But I wondered, Edgar, what were the major challenges in adapting Brian Lee O'Malley's graphic novels, bringing them so vividly to life on the screen?
I think the challenge is really kind of getting the tone right. It's quite a high wire act in this film in terms of its kind of comedy, action, romance. There's special effects, there's music, so there's a lot going on. But the challenges of doing the project are also what attracted me to it. So I kind of found that irresistible, really.
Now, the script was written in a very interesting place. Who facilitated this? Who helped you along the way?
Well, that story has been slightly blown out of proportion.
Okay.
And because I wrote this script all over the world, essentially. Like, I wrote some of it in London, some of it in Los Angeles, and some of it in Toronto. So it's kind of the script has been like written over the course of like 5 years.
It's the quintessential, I think, adolescent film with the dating music and martial arts and much, much more in it. But I wondered in what way does Scott Pilgrim actually, reflect the real lives and concerns of adolescents, albeit in a hyper cartoony kind of magic realism sort of a way?
Well, I think that Scott Pilgrim as a character, he's 22, he's kind of post-school and college, but he hasn't really sort of like found his vocation in life, and he's kind of sort of just bumming around in this band that he doesn't seem too concerned about. And so I think it's a sort of, it represents an interesting point in people's lives where they're not living with their family anymore, but they're still in this state of perpetual adolescence. And the film is essentially about kind of Scott Pilgrim sort of like having to kind of grow up really and deal with an adult relationship. And, maybe like sort of like get out of his kind of bubble of kind of fantasy.
And why was Michael Cera so right for the role of this diffident Canadian adolescent?
Well, I think Michael like has, just the right kind of goofy charm. Like he can be sort of cocky one minute and like hugely vulnerable the next. And I wanted to find somebody that it was fun to watch them being like a badass on screen, and like it's just fun to see Michael in huge fight scenes.
Well, you mentioned the fight scenes. Those action sequences are, I find, hugely exciting and very highly imaginative as well. What sort of stunt boot camp did you put your cast through? And I gather you joined in with them on occasion.
I did join in with them on occasion. Like we had sort of 8 weeks of like sort of training, and 8 weeks of training, and it was like a little boot camp, and it was a good like bonding experience for the cast. All the cast trained together, and so that was really great. And I did it with them like for solidarity and also to make sure they didn't skip sessions.
And how did all those years of comic reading as a boy in Somerset prepare you for this experience?
Well, I tried to make the film like, I used to read comics really fast, and I sort of tried to make the film feel like a comic book adaptation for the fast reader. Like it moves at a pretty sort of brisk pace throughout, both in the action and the dialogue. And it's got transitions between every scene, and I wanted to kind of like, I guess I wanted to sort of play God and sort of turn the page for you. So it's definitely got like a lot of elements that most comic book adaptations don't bother with.
Oh, we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I'll see you later this afternoon.
Thank
for
you.
the press conference.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.